Antarctica. It's a land of extremes. It's the coldest place on Earth. It's also the windiest. And it's covered in a thick sheet of ice. These conditions make it a very difficult place to fly. In fact, very few planes ever fly over Antarctica. Why is that? The answer lies in a combination of factors. These include extreme weather, a lack of infrastructure, and strict regulations. Antarctica is a continent of mystery and wonder. But it's also a place of great danger. For these reasons, it remains largely unexplored. And it's likely to stay that way for many years to come. Antarctica's weather is notoriously harsh. It can change quickly and without warning. This makes it very dangerous for aircraft. One of the biggest dangers is the wind. Antarctica is home to some of the strongest winds on Earth. These winds can reach speeds of over 200 miles per hour. They can easily toss a plane around like a toy. Another danger is the cold. Temperatures in Antarctica can plummet to minus 80 degrees Fahrenheit. That's cold enough to freeze fuel and oil. This can cause an airplane's engines to fail. The cold can also affect pilots. It can make them tired and sluggish. And it can make it difficult to think clearly. Imagine trying to land a plane on a giant sheet of ice. The very thought sends shivers down your spine, doesn't it? The sheer expanse of white, the biting cold, and the uncertainty of the surface beneath you. It's a challenge that only the bravest pilots dare to face. That's what it's like trying to land a plane in Antarctica. The continent is a vast frozen desert, and its icy runways are some of the most treacherous in the world. Pilots must be exceptionally skilled to navigate these conditions. There are very few airports in Antarctica. The ones that do exist are often little more than makeshift airstrips, carved out of the ice and snow. These airports are isolated, with minimal infrastructure, making every landing a high-stakes endeavor. And the ones that do exist are often small and difficult to land on. These airstrips are not like the sprawling airports we're used to. They are tiny, isolated, and surrounded by the harsh Antarctic environment. Every approach requires precision and nerves of steel. Most of the time, planes have to land on ice runways. These runways are not paved or marked like traditional ones. Instead, they are simply long stretches of ice that have been cleared of snow. The surface is unpredictable, and pilots must constantly adjust to the changing conditions. These are simply long stretches of ice that have been cleared of snow. The process of preparing these runways is labor-intensive and requires constant maintenance. Crews work tirelessly to ensure that the ice is smooth and free of obstacles, but even then, the surface can be treacherous. Landing on an ice runway is very dangerous. The ice can be slippery, and the lack of friction makes it difficult for planes to slow down. Pilots must rely on their skills and experience to bring the aircraft to a safe stop. The ice can be slippery. Even the slightest miscalculation can lead to disaster. The wheels of the aircraft can skid, making it hard to control the plane. It's a constant battle against the elements, and it can be difficult to judge the distance to the ground. The white expanse of ice and snow can play tricks on the eyes, making it hard to gauge altitude and distance. Pilots must rely on their instruments and experience to make a safe landing. Even if a plane can land safely, there's no guarantee that it will be able to take off again. The challenges don't end once the wheels touch the ground. The cold weather can make it difficult to start an airplane's engines, and the ice can make it difficult for a plane to gain enough speed to take off. The cold weather can make it difficult to start an airplane's engines. The extreme temperatures can cause mechanical issues, and the engines may struggle to turn over. It's a race against time to get the plane airborne before the conditions worsen. And the ice can make it difficult for a plane to gain enough speed to take off. The lack of traction means that the plane must build up more speed than usual, and the icy surface can make this a daunting task. Every takeoff is a test of skill and endurance. Antarctica is a very remote place. It's a land of extremes where the environment is as harsh as it is beautiful. The vast, icy expanse stretches out endlessly, creating a sense of isolation that is hard to find anywhere else on Earth. It's located at the bottom of the world, far from any other continents. This isolation means that it is one of the most untouched places on the planet, with a unique ecosystem that has evolved in extreme conditions. The sheer remoteness of Antarctica makes it a place of mystery and wonder. This makes it very difficult for planes to get help if something goes wrong. The vast distances and lack of infrastructure mean that any emergency situation can quickly become critical. Pilots must be prepared for the worst, knowing that help is not just around the corner. There are very few radio towers in Antarctica. Communication is a major challenge in this frozen wilderness. Without reliable radio signals, staying in touch with the outside world is nearly impossible. This isolation can be both a blessing and a curse for those who venture here. This means that planes often lose contact with air traffic control when they're flying over the continent. The lack of communication can be unnerving for pilots who must rely on their training and instincts to navigate safely. The silence of the radio can be a stark reminder of just how alone they are. If a plane has an emergency, it can be very difficult to call for help. The vast, empty expanse of Antarctica offers few options for emergency landings, and the harsh weather conditions can make any rescue operation a daunting task. Pilots must be prepared for the worst-case scenario. The weather in Antarctica can also make it difficult for rescue crews to reach a downed plane. Blizzards, high winds, and extreme cold can all conspire to create a deadly environment. Rescue teams must be highly trained and well-equipped to handle the challenges they face. Blizzards can ground planes and make it impossible for helicopters to fly. The unpredictable weather can change in an instant, turning a routine flight into a life-or-death situation. Pilots and rescue crews alike must be constantly vigilant and ready to adapt to the changing conditions. This means that it could be days or even weeks before help arrives. The isolation and harsh conditions of Antarctica make it one of the most challenging places on Earth for aviation. Those who venture into this frozen wilderness must be prepared for the ultimate test of their skills and endurance. Section 5. The Rules of the Frozen Sky. Because of the dangers, there are strict regulations about flying over Antarctica. These regulations are designed to protect both pilots and passengers. One of the most important regulations is that planes must have special equipment to fly over Antarctica. This equipment includes things like de-icing equipment and cold weather survival gear. Another important regulation is that pilots must have special training to fly over Antarctica. This training teaches pilots how to deal with the challenges of flying in cold weather and high winds. It also teaches them how to survive in the event of a crash. Section 6. A chilling reminder. Flight TE 901. The dangers of flying over Antarctica were tragically illustrated in 1979. This was a time when aviation technology was advancing rapidly, yet the challenges of navigating the harsh and unpredictable Antarctic environment remained formidable. On November 28 of that year, Air New Zealand Flight TE 901, a DC-10 aircraft, embarked on a sightseeing tour over the icy continent. The flight was meant to offer passengers breathtaking views of the Antarctic landscape, including the majestic Mount Erebus, an active volcano. Tragically, the flight ended in disaster when the plane crashed into Mount Erebus, killing all 257 people on board. The crash site, now marked by a memorial cross, serves as a somber reminder of the lives lost. The flight was on a sightseeing tour of Antarctica, a journey that promised an unforgettable experience for the passengers. Many of them were tourists eager to witness the pristine beauty of the Antarctic wilderness, a place few had the opportunity to see firsthand. The pilots were experienced, and the plane was in good working order. Captain Jim Collins and First Officer Greg Casson were seasoned aviators with thousands of flight hours between them. The aircraft itself, a McDonnell Douglas DC-10, was well maintained and equipped with the latest navigational technology of the time. But a combination of factors led to the disaster. These included navigational errors, unexpected weather changes, and the unique challenges posed by the Antarctic environment. The flight plan had been altered without the pilot's knowledge, leading to a critical navigational error. One factor was the weather. The Antarctic weather is notoriously unpredictable, and conditions can change rapidly. On the day of the flight, the weather was initially clear, providing excellent visibility for sightseeing. However, the weather quickly deteriorated. As the plane approached Mount Erebus, thick clouds began to form, obscuring the pilot's view of the landscape below. This sudden change in weather conditions played a significant role in the tragedy that unfolded. By the time the plane reached Mount Erebus, it was flying through thick clouds. The pilots were relying heavily on their navigational instruments to guide them through the dense cloud cover, unaware that they were on a collision course with the mountain. Another factor was a navigational error. The flight plan had been changed the night before the flight, but the pilots were not informed of this critical update. As a result, they were following coordinates that led them directly into the path of Mount Erebus. The pilots had entered the wrong coordinates into the plane's navigation system. This error, combined with the poor visibility caused by the thick clouds, made it impossible for them to see the mountain until it was too late. This caused the plane to fly directly into the side of the mountain. The impact was devastating and there were no survivors. The crash of Flight TE-901 remains one of the deadliest aviation disasters in history and serves as a stark reminder of the perils of flying in such a remote and unforgiving environment. Section 7. The price of Antarctic adventure. Flying to Antarctica is not cheap. The cost of fuel, special equipment, and trained pilots all add up. And because there are so few flights to Antarctica, the demand is high. This drives up the price even further. Most people who fly to Antarctica are scientists or adventurers. They are willing to pay a premium to experience the beauty and wonder of this unique continent. But for most people, the cost of flying to Antarctica is simply too high. It's a once-in-a-lifetime trip that most people can only dream of. Section 8. A continent for penguins, not planes. So why don't planes fly over Antarctica? The answer is simple: it's too dangerous. The weather is too unpredictable, the infrastructure is too limited, and the regulations are too strict. Antarctica is a continent for penguins, not planes. It's a place of incredible beauty and wonder, but it's also a place of great danger, and for those reasons it's likely to remain off-limits to most of us. Section 9. Antarctica, a final word. Antarctica stands as a testament to the raw power of nature. It's a place where the elements reign supreme, and it's a place that humans can only visit on nature's terms. So the next time you see a map of the world, take a moment to appreciate the icy wilderness at the bottom. It's a place that will continue to fascinate and challenge us for generations to come, but it's also a place that we should respect and protect.